I'm a big fan of the Atari Recharge series, and I have Atari's latest, Berzerk Recharge. I got a preview code for the Nintendo Switch, but it's coming on major platforms, everything from Steam, Epic Game Store, Switch, Xbox One, PlayStation, and even the Atari VCS. And so I am going to be taking a look at this today, give you my thoughts, and just a little background. Berzerk on the Atari 2600 was one of my favorite titles, and I also was a big fan of the original arcade. How does this game, Arcade Classic and Atari 2600 Classic, translate into an Atari Recharge game? Let's take a look. Here we go. Here is Berzerk Recharge, and has several different achievements. And I've played every other Recharge game. The music is done by Megan McDuffie. Simply fantastic. And it has some bonuses. There is multiplayer. Unfortunately, my second player was asleep, and so I wasn't able to film it. But it's nice that multiplayer is included. I think that's a nice addition. So here's the actual game. You move. There's a dash in this version, and you shoot, and there's power-ups. And so lots of cool things added to the original. And you know what? When it comes to gameplay, I think it plays pretty well. I enjoyed the dash. It came in really handy when Evil Auto shows up. There's a timer that counts down when Evil Auto shows up. As you know, that is a very, very intimidating nemesis, large round ball, and it pursues you, and you have to escape. In this version of Berzerk Recharge, there's a health meter, and so you can take multiple hits. There is a mode, I do believe, where you can just play with one-hit kills. And so, anyways, going back to the game, I like that it has power-ups, and I think that adds a dimension to the gameplay. So when it comes to gameplay, I don't have a problem with this Recharge game. I actually think it plays pretty well. Let's talk about the aesthetics. The big thing with this Recharge game is the aesthetics. I don't like how they went with it. I don't think it matches Berzerk. Like, to me, it looks a little cheap, to be honest. I think that the aesthetics, they could have went with a different approach. I definitely think even having the option of changing the skins to make your character look like a more classic Berzerk character, I don't know. I just don't like it. I like how Evil Auto looks. I just don't like how the other enemies look or the main character. I like the power-ups. Power-ups are pretty interesting. You have things that can bounce off walls. You can fire through walls. I like the power-ups. And I think as a two-player game, this could be a lot of fun. But aesthetically, I am not a big fan of how they went. Now let's look at the the challenges here. I don't think the challenges are my favorite either. It doesn't explain enough kind of what the challenges are. You have to play and kind of figure it out. I'm not a fan of that. I've played all the other Recharge games. There's 10. This is the 10th release. And I think other Recharge games do a better job at explaining what your challenges are. And again, I wasn't a fan. There's 20 challenges. And sometimes I found myself going around and trying to figure out what to do and going through empty rooms. To me, it kind of took some of the intensity that I like from original Berzerk releases, and it just wasn't my favorite. I just want to continue to show some of the gameplay here. But yeah, it really comes down to aesthetics. And I know a lot of people have had comments on Atari Age about that. And you know what? For some people, you may like it. By the way, if you like what you see, you may want to consider hitting that like and subscribe button, as I cover lots of Atari content as well as much more. Atari, Nintendo, Xbox, Sega, and more. And I've covered many other Recharge games on my channel. You may want to check those out on my Atari playlist. So getting back to the game, I did find myself enjoying it. It's just, to me, graphically, it's not on par with the other Recharge games. And I didn't like some of the separate missions. I didn't think there was as fun. There was 20. I think some other Atari Recharge games have more missions. And so getting back to this, yeah, I think people are going to be definitely split on this. I think some people are going to enjoy it, while others, such as me, I think wanted this to go in a different direction. And of all the Recharge games, it's not the worst. maybe I'll do a ranking of the Atari Recharge games and share with that. But, you know, this is kind of middle of the road for me, and it comes down to aesthetics. I really was disappointed with how it looked, as to me, I think Berzerk needs to be more. Here's the original arcade release, and, you know, for many people, they grew up with this. I do believe it came out in 1980, and, you know, such a timeless classic. You know, I lived far away from arcades, so unfortunately, I wasn't able to play the arcade game as much as I wanted. But for many out there, you grew up with this timeless classic, or maybe the sequel Frenzy. So maybe, hopefully, we'll get a Frenzy Recharge, and maybe they'll fix some of the issues with Berzerk Recharge. Anyways, here's the original 2600 release, and I know very soon that they're going to come out with a updated version of this, where the enemies in the 2600, they couldn't fire diagonal. Well, in the new release coming out very soon, which I'm going to show, it's going to have that. But anyways, huge fan of the original 2600 release, and I like the aesthetics and everything about it. Mixed feelings about this. You know, this is the 10th game that Atari's done a Recharge game on, and it's not my favorite. I'm a big fan of the original, as I mentioned before, and I just don't think they get things exactly right in this. The gameplay is pretty fun, and that music from Megan McDuffie, oh, I love her music, and I think it's a great fit for Berzerk. But I don't like how it looks. I think it just is missing something from the original. And I think a lot of it is aesthetics for me. I don't like the direction that they went with this game. After playing it, it just kind of feels like a cheap knockoff to the original Berzerk. And I have to say this, I've said this before, they need more historical information included with these series. They need just more information. What makes Berzerk important? And I wish there was more information in this talking about the original Berzerk release, as well as I think it also needs to include the original arcade ROM, or even the original 2600 ROM. I know Atari went out and bought some arcade games from Stern, and this is an important release. And unfortunately, if I play this Recharge game, I'm not going to get that. So overall, I just think it's okay. Probably a 6 or 7 out of 10, and a lot of it is aesthetics. I wasn't a real big key on some of those challenges as well. I do like the multiplayer, and I think it plays okay. I just don't like how it looks, and I'm knocking it a few points because of that. Anyways, what do you think? Is this something you're going to pick up? $10. So this is a relative cheap price, like the other Recharge games. You could check it out. And as always, thank you for coming to my channel. If you like what you see, consider hitting the like and subscribe button and clicking the bell, as I'm uploading videos every week. You folks are wonderful and beautiful. Let's keep it positive. This is Immortal John Hancock, and you take care.